I'm walking next to the very ramparts that were built by Andrew Jackson when he was attempting to defend, and of course did successfully defend, New Orleans against the advance of the British. And these are British veterans of the Napoleonic Wars. He's outnumbered 3-1, and he's able to pull off the stunning victory against the British, packing them in his British crack troops. Right here in this field, I'm standing on the ramparts at this point. And it was shocking. Most Americans expected a loss. Jackson himself supposedly assumed that something like 25,000 British troops were on their way to New Orleans. Most Americans assumed they'd receive news of the loss any time, and instead they received news of a resounding victory. This battle was significant, and sometimes, from textbooks or scholars, you get the sense that the battle wasn't that significant. It might have been a great victory for the Americans, but the war was basically over. The Treaty of Ghent had already been formulated, though it hadn't been ratified. That's an important little detail. And that it was sort of like this, grand afterthought. But that's not the case. This battle was very significant. Who knows what the fate of the West of the Mississippi, might have been had the British won. Remember, the British control much of North America. They've got Canada. They're pushing west. Pretty soon we're going to have a whole Oregon dispute with the British. I mean, the British are still in charge of much North American territory. This would have positioned them very differently in terms of leverage and power vis-a-vis the United States in terms of that whole. I mean, he's the first president that wasn't born rich and wealthy or wasn't born into the gentry class, the old colonial aristocracy. No, he wasn't like that. He was born poor. He was a frontier guy. He's a guy who was self-made, self-educated. You can't look at the previous presidents and find anyone like that. He represented something new. He represented the idea that anybody who worked hard could become president. At least that's the sort of the idea that's going to grow up around him. And he will, of course, cultivate that reputation. Andrew Jackson is going to position himself.
trip along with Colonel Jackson down the mighty Mississippi. We took a little bacon and we took a little beans, and we caught the bloody British in a town in New Orleans. We fired our guns and the British kept a-coming. There wasn't as many as there was a while ago. We fired once more and they began to run it on down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. We looked down the river and we see the British come, and there must have been 100 of them beating on the drum. They stepped so high and they made the bugles ring. We stood beside our cotton bales, didn't say a thing. We fired our guns and the British kept a-coming. There wasn't as many as there was a while ago. We fired once more and they began to run it on down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Old Hickory said we could take them by surprise if we didn't fire muskets till we looked them in the eye. We held our fire till we see their faces well, then we opened up the squirrel guns and really gave them well. We fired our guns and the British kept coming. There wasn't as many as there was a while ago. We fired once more and they began to run it on down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, they ran through the briars and they ran through the brambles and they ran through the bushes where a rabbit couldn't go. They ran so fast that the hounds couldn't catch them on down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. We fired our cannon till the barrel melted down, so we grabbed an alligator and we fought another round. We filled his head with cannonballs and powdered his behind, and when we touched the powder off, the gator lost his mind. We fired our guns and the British kept a-coming. There wasn't as many as there was a while ago. We fired once more and they began to run it on down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, they ran through the briars and they ran through the brambles and they ran through the bushes where a rabbit couldn't go. They ran so fast that the hounds couldn't catch them on down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico.